Hey guys, sorry for that interruption when I tried to tape this video the first time. So we'll go ahead and actually I'm going to start at the beginning again. I just need to click on it here. Okay, so what I'm doing for part 4 of our 10-part series titled Was Christopher Watts a Battered Husband? I'm going to read a comment that one of our subs posted earlier today that was just very interesting, and I want to share it with you. In case you haven't seen it yet, I want to be sure that you hear what this guy has to say because it's just really interesting. So here goes. The comment reads, "There is a condition called the battered husband syndrome, and it is real, and it happens in this country every day. Believe me. I retired on disability after serving 26 years as a state police trooper, and I know what I'm talking about here. I cannot tell you the number of times I responded to a call from a woman complaining about her abusive husband, only to find out after investigation that the argument was in fact initiated by the woman herself. Rarely, if ever, do men report domestic violence and abuse because they don't want to be ridiculed and then further abused by the wife. And I'm going to tell you something about the ridicule they are afraid of that holds them back from reporting the truth about their battering and abuse. The ridicule just doesn't come from neighbors, coworkers, friends, and family. They will also be ridiculed by the officers that respond to the scene of the domestic violence call, or the one gathering information to make a report. Let me tell you that the ridicule occurs, and it is accepted by the peers. I know that during one call, the wife claimed that her husband threatened to hit her, and because he was acting insane, she didn't feel safe. The husband was sitting at the kitchen table, trembling, soaking wet, and once inside, hold on here. I'm going to start that sentence again. The husband was sitting at the kitchen table, trembling, soaking wet, and one side of his face was red and swollen. And when my partner questioned him about this, the husband told us that he was told that first thing in the morning, he was to get the potatoes started, so when she got up, she could make the potato salad for an event they were attending the next day. The husband got up in the morning, and first thing he washed 20 pounds of potatoes and put them in the largest pot they had, and then filled it with water, then put a lid on it. And just at that time, the kids got up and they were hungry, so he fixed a big breakfast and made coffee because his wife needed it as soon as she woke up. While the kids were eating, he went back into the kitchen to clean up the dishes and made a plate for his wife. When she woke up, she came down and he had her coffee ready. Then she sat down and ate her breakfast. When she went into the kitchen for her second cup of coffee, she began yelling at him because he didn't listen to her and start the potatoes. He told us that he did start the potatoes, but she was furious because he didn't cook, then cool them, so she could start making the potato salad when she woke up. The more he tried to explain, the angrier she got, and then she started grabbing the wet potatoes from the pot on the stove and began throwing them at him one by one, and sometimes hit him in the face. And when there were no more potatoes left to throw, she took the pot and she dumped the water on his head, then hit him on the shoulder with the pot. The husband broke down crying, then yelled at her that if she hit him again, he was going to hit her back. See, in this woman's mind, her husband's breakdown was a sign that he was unstable. And yes, he did admit that he threatened to hit her. We did not see her throwing the potatoes or dumping the water or hitting him with the pot, and she was nowhere near to admitting it. Technically and legally, He was in the wrong. Now, what I didn't tell you was when the husband told the story that he didn't cook and then peel the potatoes for her, so she threw them at him, blah, blah, blah. My partner cracked up and couldn't keep a straight face. So I had to step in to get the rest of his story, and from the background I could hear my partner cracking as he tried desperately to hold back his laughter. Maybe it was the way the story first came out. I don't know what my partner found to be so amusing, but I know the husband heard it and had to feel ridicule. Now get this. As the husband and I were sitting at the table as I was completing the investigation, the wife stopped at the table with her hands on her hips and extremely angry and insulting him as if I was on her side. Let me say that I was not on her side and could see a whole different side to the story than what she was telling and portraying. The enraged wife really stood there believing that she was in the right, and the victim, and this was yet just one more time that her husband sabotaged her efforts and outright defied her with his passive-aggressive tactics. We managed to leave the call without taking any adverse action, but I am sure the issue was not over between the couple after we left. I was a patrolman then, worked my way up to detective before getting injured on the job, then forced to take retirement and disability. I am telling you that the dynamics of this situation happens every single day in this country, and I am glad that the Lady Justice Survivor Advocate True Crime channel is bringing attention to the battered husband syndrome. And it is not just husbands that find themselves in this situation. It is boyfriends, brothers, cousins, fathers, and grandfathers that suffer this every day in this country. And yes, I think it is time to point out that women are not the only victims of domestic violence. Men are too. Family shelters need to replace the women's shelters so husbands like the one in this story have a place to go to escape these abusive women. There is nothing in place, and maybe if there was such a shelter, Chris Watts would have taken himself and those beautiful girls and sought protection and the help that he needed to escape the clutches of his abusive wife. Lady Justice Survivor Advocate True Crime Channel, I thank you for bringing this matter to light. I think if Chris Watts had the help he needed to escape the abuse, his wife may have been forced to get the help she desperately needed, and those precious children would still be alive today. I also wanted to add that the whole time my partner and I were at the scene that I mentioned above, those children were upstairs in their rooms, not making a sound. That tells me that they are used to these scenarios and know better to keep out of sight, or they would get caught up in it too. Oh, there are more times than I can count when the children are pushed into the investigation and made to choose sides. And usually, children will choose the side of the abuser just out of the mere sake of survival. If they say one word to make the abuser look bad, they know they will have hell to pay.